joining us for an early podcast. Well, early for us, late for her because she's in Europe. But yeah, thanks for coming on. I've wanted to get you on for a while because I find the sex researching aspect pretty fascinating. But yeah, I'll let you start off with a quick introduction about yourself. Like, just can you give a quick summary of who you are? What do you do?
I am Aella. I have done sex work for about 10 years, varying forms, and I write a blog where I write about sex work, and also I do a lot of sex research where I give people surveys and then have them tell me really intimate things. And I do a lot of Twitter polls, and I mime. I don't know, throw
You
weird
mime?
parties.
You mime? What does that mean?
Mime.
Like that?
Yeah, some of my most viral porn content is me as a sex mime.
Wait, what? Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. So it's like you're like having sex while you're like miming.
Well, yeah, but like it sounds a little goofy to explain. But one of the I had like I put my arm into a jacket which was hanging here, so it looked like the jacket had an arm, and then like I molested myself. It was you have to see it. It's hard to explain.
I've never watched mime porn. This is an area. This is like one of the few types of porns that I know nothing about. Okay, fascinating. I did not know about that part. All right, so let's start off with this. So you said you started off doing sex work. How did you get into that? How did you become? I guess what's the term? Professional escort, or what do you call?
Well, I started out on my free cams as a cam girl. Do you know
Okay.
how camming works and stuff?
Somewhat, yeah. I mean, I know. Like, I'm familiar with like the Andrew Tate thing, and that kind of made me like research camming a little bit.
How did you get your voice so low?
I don't know. There's people always ask me that. That's my natural voice. I mean, like I take testosterone. That definitely made my voice lower, but
Oh, really?
I don't like do like some kind of voice exercise or anything. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna talk deep now. It's just kind of how I talk.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Well,
get that question all the time. But yeah, keep going.
okay, well, yeah, I don't know. If you know how camming works, I started because I was like working in a factory. My life was kind of poop, and I was like, how do I make money? Because the whole Christian cult, borderline cult upbringing thing.
I don't know anything of that. Sorry, I'm not
Yeah,
definitely.
well, I never know like what to go over again. But basically, I was raised in like a highly evangelical. I was homeschooled my whole life. I was trained to be a housewife. Like men are like rational, women are emotional. Women can't be leaders. Like my dad would, we would visit a church and a woman pastor would come up, my dad would walk out. Like that sort of thing. I was like maybe women shouldn't vote. So my understanding of my purpose in life was to get married and have children and nothing else. And so when I like got out of all of that and lost my faith, I had really no idea what to do, no bearing. It was like reconstructing it from scratch. So I worked at a factory for about a year, which sucked ass on the factory floor assembling things. And then after that, I was like pretty desperate to try anything else. But I had no education. I didn't have money to go to school, and I'd been homeschooled. It's like not easy to go to college when you don't have money and your parents won't co-sign any loans, and you don't have good financial educational records to get aid. Anyway, so I ended up trying being a cam girl, and then I made what was for me a lot of money at the time, and then I became obsessed. I was like, holy shit, this is my ticket out of here. And it was. And I cammed for several years. I got burned out, tried a little crypto. That was a bad idea. Then did some escorting, and then COVID hit, and then I did OnlyFans, and then now I'm still kind of doing OnlyFans, and yeah.
How does escorting work? I mean, I know the basics. Like some dude basically gives you money for sex, but is there like how do you like I guess advertise yourself? Is there like a website or a app or something?
Yeah. My favorite website, which I recommend checking out, because even if you're not interested in actually booking an escort, it's still super interesting to see like how people market themselves and price points. It's like fascinating anthropological research. But tryst.link, TRYST, like a tryst.link, is, in my opinion, the best website to go to find models. It does depend on your area. This is mostly for the US. But so I would put my ads up on there, and people would contact me. You have a website. You have like instructions. Here's my prices. Here's an introduction. Here's various photos. And then people would message me being like, hello, can we meet up? And I'd be like, sure, we have to do screening. And screening consists of basically two things. You want to ensure that the person is not a police person who's trying to arrest you. And then two, you want to ensure that they are not going to like assault you horribly. So you get like
How do you ensure that?
You get references. Basically, you get references from other escorts who verify that they have seen them and they were like polite and upstanding. Usually you do 2 seen within the last 6 months is the standard, but you can decide your own
Oh damn!
verification.
I didn't know there was like it's like a job. There's like references and stuff. You're calling references. Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I did not know about that.
Yeah, escorts aren't fucking around.
How do what about if it's like a guy's first time? What if he does like that has no like job experience or whatever, escort experience?
I mean, you can find an escort who's like doesn't filter. They usually tend to be much like lower price point, lower quality. I would personally take people who are first time, but my filtering process for that is like I would have to meet you up for a paid lunch beforehand, and then we would both go home, and then after that, I would contact them with the decision if I accepted them or not. Because like, who's gonna go through that process? And you can feel their vibes a little bit.
Right.
And then if I liked them, then I would see them. Yeah.
What are the customers like? Is it like kind of like simpy men, or is it like what like professional businessmen, or what's like the average type, or it's like it's all over the place?
Yeah, there's a couple different categories. Like I'd say there's like young virgins. So these are like tend to be like really insecure, probably not very physically attractive, early 20s, and they're really don't know if they're going to perform well for women, like quite self-conscious about it, and they sort of want to have some experience before they go try like a real dating, so they don't fuck up with a real girl. That's like one category. Another is like the old married man who's been married for 20 years and his wife doesn't want to fuck him anymore, but he like doesn't want to explode his life because he has kids and a house, and he doesn't want to cheat on her with like a coworker, so he's like, okay, I'm going to get my sexual needs met in like a contained space with somebody that I pay to go away and not ruin anything afterwards. And there's the hobbyist, which is my least favorite category, are the guys who like kind of gotta catch them all, like Pokemon. They sort of treat it as like you just want to maximize variety. And these are the people that tend to make specific requests for appearance. So they're like, I want you to like wear this specific thing. It's like quite sexually oriented as opposed to connective, which is like fine. I'm not judging if somebody wants that, but like I personally enjoyed it a little less. And I would say the last category are like high-powered businessmen. And like these are not guys that would have issues finding like a really awesome quality wife. They're just too busy. They're in town for a night. They haven't like had sex in a few weeks, and they're like, fuck, I'm horny and I don't want to waste time like going on Tinder, like will she, won't they? Like, so those are nice too.
Have you ever had any like weird shit happen, or you're like so careful at screening that like that just doesn't happen?
I had one shitty experience, and it was because I failed at screening. I had like one freaking time because I had an assistant, and there was some miscommunication between me and my assistant about like whether or not he'd been screened. Like we misinterpreted. We both thought that we had screened the person, but we hadn't. Okay. And then he ended up just like, it was really like, it was like a series of small boundary pushes throughout the night. But like during the actual experience, he started like hitting me and saying like really aggressive things at me. Like, you fucking whore, you deserve to, I don't think he said die, but it was like something to the extent where like during the experience, I was like trying to figure out like, okay, what I was like calculating the odds of whether or not I was going to to get murdered, and like if I could call someone for help, like with the maids here, because we were in a hotel and stuff. But I did not die. I did not get murdered. So that was really the only bad thing. All the rest are really good.
What do you do in a situation like that? You just like go along with it, hoping not to like piss the guy off, or like what's the?
Yeah, I mean, like in the ideal world, you're able to communicate that you don't want it, but when it was happening, I was really afraid that if I gave any sort of indication that I didn't like it, that things would get worse. And maybe that's not true. Like maybe it's sort of like my fault for not like expressing my boundaries clearly. But he had been doing a little bit of boundary pushing up until that point. Like he wasn't giving some sort of indication that he was misreading it. And when it was happening, I was like, okay, the intuition was like, I cannot let him know that I am freaked out right now.
Right, because the fear, because if it's like, yeah, I get that like aspect. It's like kind of like primal. Oh, it's like I smell fear now. Yeah, I got her.
Yeah, because like if I want to do something like run for the door, I don't want him to be on guard to prevent me to run for the door. You know, like I don't want him to like be modeling me as someone antagonistic, which means he's more likely to take protective steps.
What category did that dude fall into? Was he one of the hobbyists or the high-powered professional, or?
He was the traveler professor, traveling professional.
Okay, got it. Interesting. Yeah. Cool. Okay, all right. So we covered that. So so let's talk about the sex researching part. So how did you start sex researching? While you cover that, I'm just gonna turn up my AC. It's so cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna assume you can still hear me.
Yep.
Wait, it's like difficult for me to to think about what I'm saying when you're just standing up. No, I was doing a bunch of surveys anyway because I had a bunch of horny men following me, and so I started doing surveys for fun, and then realizing surveying was quite difficult, and then I got really obsessed with it, and slowly improved my skills over time. And then there's a whole bunch of like sex stuff that doesn't make sense. So sex is really under researched. They don't have very good studies about
That's
the
true.
details about it, you know?
Yeah. Okay. So how do you start sending out surveys? Like you just like hey, who wants to take the survey? You post it on social media.
Yeah, basically. That's how I started.
Okay. Interesting. All right. So this is the part I
And
really
then
want
once
to
you
focus on.
collect the data, yeah.
Wait, you kind of close there, and then what?
Yeah, you're also chopping up for me too. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
So what did you say?
I said, okay, so you start doing surveys. So what are like the big, I guess let's start off with like, what are some of the big things you noticed that kind of surprised you?
Well, there's a couple of ongoing questions. One is what's the dominant submission gap? Because like I had some sort of intuition that dominance and submission should be roughly equally distributed from men and women. Because dominance and submission is like a quite like evolved thing. Like if you look at animals, there's like dominant submission hierarchies between males and females all the time. And so I'm like, okay, if you're aroused by being submissive, then probably an approximate equal number of men should be aroused by being dominant. This is not what we find. We find that roughly 60% of women are aroused by being submissive. Like it depends on exactly how you define it. And roughly 40% of men are interested in being dominant. And so I'm like, why do we have this huge gap here? Like, why are men like underrepresented in being the kind of sexually driven thing that satisfies women? So that's a big question for me that I still have not answered. Another one is transsexuality is really fascinating. I did not expect transsexuality to fascinate me to the degree it does here, because I don't know. I can like ramble about this for a really long time.
Well, it's all the dominant submissive thing. So I've heard you talk about that. I saw that on the Lex Friedman podcast. You were mentioning that. That doesn't surprise me at all. Like when I heard you talking about that, that didn't surprise me. I think it has. My theory is that a lot of guys are like they're not even aware of the fact that they like being dominant. It's like deep down inside of them, they don't know it. Kind of like someone who's like, I don't know, like has some kind of like rape fantasy, right? A girl who has a rape fantasy, but she would never admit it, right? It's like deep down inside of her that she doesn't even know about, and she doesn't know about until she tries it. Like I had no idea. Like if you asked me when I was 21, do you enjoy being dominant in bed? Like at that point, I wasn't a virgin. I've been with a few girls. I probably would have said no because I just never tried it. But then like around 24, 25, I just kind of started trying it. And my answer at 28 would have been different. So I think a lot of that just has to do with guys not knowing it and being like very subconscious versus women. I think they typically find out earlier on that they like being sexually submissive just because of the experiences they have. So yeah, that's kind of like my theory on that.
Yeah, so we can actually test this theory. There's a couple things here. One, this theory would predict that we would see higher levels of dominance in men who are older.
Yeah.
This theory would predict that like men report later onset of interest in power dynamics than women do.
Mm-hmm.
This would also suggest that men are less likely to report that being into things in general until they're older. Like, for example, there's some things that are more taboo than dominance and submission. And if we're expecting men to not report what they're into, we should see a decreased amount of reporting across the board, right?
But sorry, just to clarify, it's not that they don't want to report, it's they don't even know about it. So it's not that they're too shy to report, it's just that they're not aware they even have it.
Yeah, I'm assuming that you would say that this probably would apply to other fetishes too, like not just dominance and submission. They're unaware that they have it.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it should. Yeah, if you think about it.
Right. So I'm not sure that this necessarily holds up in my data. Like men in general are more likely to say that they're into more taboo fetishes in general. So they are at least aware that they're into things that are really taboo that aren't dominance and submission. Men also report earlier onset of interest in power dynamics. And what was the other test I suggested? Oh yeah, there's no correlation between age and interest in dominance in my data.
Interesting. So then the other theory would be that like kind of what you described, where it has to do with like testosterone levels. Like men nowadays are like super soy, and like there's just like a lot of beta males. I mean, I do hear this from like the girls I hook up with that like, oh my god, like you're the first guy that actually like really takes charge. Like all these guys say they're dominant, but they're like, oh, is it okay if I touch you here? Like so like a lot of women, like I don't know, from what I've heard, like anecdotally, like most women, the vast majority of the time they have sex with a random person, they don't have like a super satisfying sexual experience. So yeah, I guess the other thing is that just men either have no idea what they're doing, or due to lower testosterone levels, they're like less dominant. Although I wonder, like, sorry, what?
Go ahead.
But then in theory, if you do two categories, one men before TRT and then after TRT, the men who are like after TRT should be like more dominant, right? I don't know if you've ever done that research, like if you included testosterone replacement therapy in the mix.
I do. I actually do measure this. And this is actually something I haven't looked at yet. I looked at estrogen. And I saw, so basically the test I wanted to do is like the length of time you're on estrogen, how does that correlate? And I need to actually like double check the data, but I think from glancing at it, it looks like it does very lightly correlate with an increase in like masochism and submission, but only lightly. Like I would expect to see a stronger weight on that. It's like 2% predictive or something.
And just like looking at myself, like I got on testosterone replacement therapy when I was like 28. Like I don't think I became like more sexually dominant. I was already like pretty sexually dominant by then. I don't think like my testosterone levels before TRT were like 300, and now they're like 1,000. So like in theory, I should be 3 times more dominant, but I'm definitely not. Like maybe like 5 or 10% or something like that. So yeah, maybe not so much. So then what's your guess for it? What's your own theory on why that is?
I don't know. Like it could be hormones manifesting in a way that we don't expect. Maybe there's some sort of threshold. Like maybe if you become more dominant up until you're around 300 levels of testosterone, and then it doesn't like increase linearly, like, or maybe it's not this at all. Maybe it's like I have like one of my conspiracy theories is the gay uncle theory. I think I might have talked about this on Lex. I don't remember.
I didn't see that part. What's the gay uncle theory? I'm curious.
Well, okay. So one of the theories for why are there gay people? Because gay people, being gay is not good for reproduction. It's like the worst thing for reproduction ever. So what's the incentive for evolving? And one of the theories is that like the men, I don't know if this is true. Like it really might not be, but like that men sort of self-select out because if there's like too much male competition, like because males tend to like dominate multiple females, and so some males like are self-selecting out of the pool in order to perform as assistants. Just like they have a greater chance of like having like their brother's genes reproduce if they're not directly competing. Does that make sense?
It does, but that would imply like evolution is way more like godlike than we thought. That like there's like some kind of like almost like intellectual design thing going on, right?
Not necessarily
random. You know, it's like there's a random chance. Like if I have a kid, it's like should be random that, you know, like I have 3 kids. It should be random that one of them comes out this, and just in theory that like the one who has better genes is more likely to reproduce. But if it's like there's like some like, you know, like one of my kids is like genes is like looking out for the other one genes, that's kind of like much more like complex, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty dubious about this theory because like there's like the selfish gene, like selection operates at the level of the gene generally. And so when we're starting to do like, oh, but there's like working like in the collection level, it feels less persuasive to me. So I'm not totally sure. But we have like a lot of things, like there's a lot of like ape tribes. Like there's like some baboon tribes in Africa where this is really pronounced, where you have like one guy, male that like makes this like harem of females, and they have like pods, clusters, and this is sort of just the way it works. But the result of this is that you have like 50% of males or greater, 80% are like off on the outskirts of the males with their harems with their little pods, and they cannot reproduce at all. So you kind of have like 2 separate like male types, is like the male with the females and then the males on the outskirts. And I think to some degree this has been true for human history, although it's significantly less pronounced.
Yeah. No, that's definitely to some extent. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I'm like, maybe if there's some sort of evolutionary thing where like a man can like we're just like naturally, because you know how like orangutan evolution works at all?
Not really, no.
Not evolution, sorry. But orangutans, basically, they're the only primate that actually engages in physical rape. Like most kinds of sexual coercion are just coercion, like you harass the female to intimidate her, or you like mate guard her or whatever. But they're the only ones that engage in actual rape. And what happens is the males are 2 types of males. You have a male, and he's like, doesn't have the phalanges on the side of the head. If there's another phalanged male in the area, like if there's like a dominant male with the phalanges, and only the beta males rape, basically. So all the females will like voluntarily procreate with the phalanged male and then be raped by the sub males. And then if the main dude dies, one of them will become the phalanged male and then no longer reproduce by that way. It's like a physical change that you can see, and only one of them in the area can have it. And so I'm like, this is like fucking insane. This is crazy complex. But I don't like, it's like, I'm like pretty hesitant to take these kinds of ideas and apply them to human evolution because we have very different like survival, like evolutionary pressures. But I'm like, okay, maybe there was something somewhere in our evolutionary history that cause some sort of pressure where there's like dimorphic males. Like there's the males that are dominant and match up with the 60% of females who are submissive because like the males get to mate with more of them. And then there's like sort of like the submissive males that don't have that dominance drive. I don't know if this is true. This is my
These
wild
orangutans better be careful in 2023. They're going to get Me Too'd pretty fast. You can't be doing that nowadays. You're going to get fucking orangutan Me Too. Go to orangutan jail where you're not going to get any bananas. Wait, but how do they know that like the beta males are like raping the girls? Like is it like literally like the female orangutan is like fighting off or something? Like how can you tell? They can't talk.
You can look at videos on YouTube.
Oh, there's like videos of like orangutans being raped.
Yeah, you can type in orangutan rape. Like one of the top videos I saw was like a male was just like sticking his penis in the female, and the female's like lying down, just like slamming her head against the ground.
Oh shit!
To like indicate she didn't want it.
Well, wait, why did the alpha males not like mate guard then?
Well, because they're quite isolated. Like they're like the tigers of apes. They don't exist in clusters. The females usually will mate and then have the children and then be on their own with the other kids. So there's not really mate guarding going on. Okay,
interesting. Yeah. That's fascinating. I didn't know you could find that on YouTube. All right, guys. So if you want to have a fun little Saturday jerk off session, you know what to go. I guess orangutan rape videos. It's good stuff. Okay, interesting. Wait, we're talking about sex research. All right, let's get back to humans. Although the orangutan thing is pretty interesting. I did not know about that. Okay, so there's the dominant submission gap. Yeah, that one. I guess I don't have a good explanation for it, but that one, honestly, just based off my anecdotal experience, doesn't really surprise me at all. What are some other ones that you thought were interesting or surprising in any way?
Well, the transsexuality one, like, okay, so my big question was, do childhood experiences correlate with fetishes in adulthood? And I asked about a whole bunch of different fetishes and a whole bunch of different possible childhood experiences, like maybe like 40. And of the ones I asked, none of them correlated with adult sexual fetish interest at all, which is very counter to our ideas. They did correlate with age of onset. So, for example, if you're an adult who's into feet, like your childhood might impact when you first realize you're into feet. Like it can accelerate that process, but by the end you're going to still be the same amount into feet regardless of your childhood, for example. But this does not
include things like rape or no?
It includes things like rape, yeah.
Because you would think like from I don't know anything about this like personally, but like from like you hear the stories like if someone gets like molested like early on in life, they're more likely to like molest other people, right?
Yeah. So whether or not you've molested other people is not necessarily related to whether or not you are into it. Like there is a correlation between people in my data, people who said they had sexually assaulted other people and being sexually assaulted as a kid, but not for people who report being sexually aroused by rape.
Oh, okay.
So, and to be fair, there are like there's like tiny correlations all over the place, but like correlations are kind of predictive to a certain extent. So like you can have like a correlation that predicts like 1% of the variance. And you're like, well, technically it's correlated, but it's so tiny. It's like, we can't really do anything with it. So there's a lot of those things that I'm like not bringing up because it's so tiny, you can't do anything, but.
Okay. So you were talking about the trans, whatever thing. So you're saying that basically, whether you had your childhood experience don't predict your likelihood of having fetishes. Was that it?
For cis people, yeah. But it does predict your fetishes if you're trans.
Interesting.
Yeah, which I'm like, I don't understand why. It's like it's relatively slight, but it's a little bit more pronounced. It's like like more than 1%, basically. And it's like usually abuse is correlated with a greater interest in various fetishes. And I don't understand why this is the case. Like, maybe this seems to indicate that there's greater like childhood adult permeability for people who identify as trans than for people who identify as cis.
Okay, interesting. Any other good ones?
Like facts?
Yeah, just like trends that you picked up on from the research.
I know bestiality is more popular than people think.
Really? Okay, interesting.
Yeah, more people are into it than you might expect.
Would you say?
Huh?
What percentage?
I heard 10%.
Oh, damn. 1 out of 10 people is into like fucking dogs and shit. Wow, that's crazy.
I mean, yeah, to be fair, there's like different varieties of bestiality and different kinds of animals. And there's like different degrees of interest, but like very roughly 10%. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. I did not expect that. Kind of concerning as someone who has a dog. Hopefully 1 out of 10 of my friends doesn't want to fuck my dog. Okay, interesting. How about this? What about what percentage of do you ever ask women like what percentage of them like report having an orgasm like ever in their lifetime? Because there's the whole thing of like some women don't never even get to experience an orgasm until like a certain age and whatnot. Do you study that?
I did not ask that question in my data, no.
Okay.
And I think there are some questions that like seem more susceptible to selection bias than others, and I feel like that one would be because I'm like disproportionately attracting like a certain demographic of women. That my guess would be like sexual experience is a thing that is in fact affected by my audience. So
Right, yeah, that's true. There's selection bias, yeah, because I'm assuming like some like Christian girl isn't going to be like filling out your sex survey.
well, and to be fair, my King survey has around 550,000 responses, and they're mostly from TikTok. But TikTok still skews like slightly liberal, so.
Right. Okay. So okay, let's move on to this question. What do you think are some things guys can do to be better in bed? Like, do most okay? So I always say that I think most guys fucking suck in bed. Would you say your personal experiences confirms this?
Well, my personal experience is a little warped because I'm an escort, and that's a different rule set.
But I'm sure you have like casual sex, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, less so. I have like right now, I have either sex with like long-term serious partners or orgy sex. I don't have a lot of casual sex.
Interesting. Okay, well, just even amongst your like partners, like long-term partners, I'm sure that like most of them probably weren't that good initially, or were they?
Yeah, usually the best sex experience is like the sixth time you have sex with someone.
Yeah.
Do you have this? Like, is there like a
Yeah. Like third for me, probably. Yeah, third or fourth. Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. And then it kind of starts to like the novelty
Yeah.
starts to wear off and just starts to like slowly kind of just peak in
You're
that
like,
direction.
okay. That's where you like find exactly like the kind of thing you like, and then you just like keep slamming that button.
Yeah. But I guess
don't know.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I guess the larger question is like, what do you think? Like, what is your perspective on what are things guys can do to stop sucking in bed? Like, how can guys be better at fucking girls?
So I don't know how to do this legally, but my fantasy is to do a coaching service where somebody fucks me and then I do like really close like in time feedback. And like ideally we have a coach there also watching who's like giving feedback from the outside. Wouldn't that be so fun? I don't think any man would do that, but
What, like, be the coach or fuck you for feedback?
no, would fuck me for feedback. Like
think
to
a
be
lot
watched,
would.
to like fuck in front of like two people, me and the coach, who are like,
I think so many dudes would do that.
you think?
100%. Like, that's
thing-
not. Yeah, like I think there's so many dudes. I think it would be very similar. I mean, I'm sure like the business professionals probably wouldn't be about that because they'd be worried about whatever getting like exposed or documented. But you're like the virgin incel dudes and like all the other people. Yeah, they would definitely be about that. Yeah, like look at the chat. Like I volunteer as a tribute. I'm down. Like yeah, there's a whole. You got like 5 people in the chat right now who are actually like willing to commit to this. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of people. I would. Yep. Yeah. So fucking for feedback.
I would charge a lot for that. I would charge like out the ass for an experience like that.
Yeah, or you could do a different business model. You can do like a video coaching type of thing where you have like a few people like volunteers and they get like to sample the fruits for free, but then you have a video program that someone can pay like $50 a month for, and then like they get subscription to all your like fucking tutorial videos, and they get access to like a mastermind group where they can like take.
Wait, this is actually a really good idea. Wait, where I'm like coaching a dude live through sex, and then I'm like also recording it.
Yeah.
That would be so intense for the guy, though.
There was a brothel in Prague that used to do this. It was called Big Brother Brothel. I've never been there, just for the record, but it was like kind of popular over the internet. So basically, the premise was that you get to fuck the prostitutes for either free or for some ultra cheap cost that was like $10 or something like that. But the catch is that they record everything and they put it on the internet. So their business model wasn't like making money off the people who fuck the girls. Their business model was making money off the people who jerk off to them fucking the girls.
You just froze for me. Are we back?
Yeah. What did you do with me?
I didn't hear anything you just said.
Okay, so there was this famous brothel in Prague called Big Brother Brothel. So basically, the premise was that like when you go there, you get to fuck the girls either for free or like semi-free, like $10. But they record everything, right? There's cameras everywhere, and they put it on the internet. And so their whole business model was making money off the people who watch people fuck prostitutes, not the actual people who are fucking the prostitutes.
Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah. I don't know why I don't think they're no longer up. I don't know if they just like retired or something like that, or there's maybe some kind of legal issue that fell. But yeah, that was back in the day. That was like a popular thing. I think you could actually, I've always wondered this, like this would be like highly illegal and I would never do it. But like kind of fascinating to think about. If like I would go to like Colombia, Brazil, like countries where there's like really hot girl, and set up a bunch of hidden cameras, right? And like videotape myself like fucking all the girls from Tinder, like from the part where the girl comes over so they can watch me like flirt with the girl and everything until like the very ending, and then like upload it to the internet. I feel like that would get like millions of subscribers, but it would be illegal because obviously you're recording that without consent. But yeah.
Oh yeah, you probably shouldn't do that unless
Yeah,
you
no,
can.
I'm definitely not going to do that. I'm not interested in like going to jail or winding up like canceled. But yeah, there's like a lot of fascinating things that you could do that would be like kind of like not really ethical or legal. But anyway, so back to the initial thing before I get sidetracked with this thought loop. So yeah, I guess the initial question is like, what do you think are some like practical tips for guys to be better in bed?
I thought about this a lot. I'm not sure. Because it's so specific, and I have like really specific sexual preferences. I'm like a fucking weirdo, and so I'm like, you either have to be into the very narrow thing I'm into, or I'm just like not into it. And so I'm like, I don't think I'm a good person to give like general feedback. I can give vibe feedback, but I can't be like, here's a concrete thing that tip for everybody. Like, I mean, there's like basic shit that you probably already know, like don't place your weight on the woman when you're on top, like so that I can't breathe. Like you'd be surprised how many guys do that. Like you're not paying attention because you're humping away and you're having a great time, but like slowly your weight starts to like go more and more on my chest, and I'm like suffocating. I don't know. There's like basic logistical stuff like that.
Don't kill a girl, with your body. That's
yeah. What kind of tips do you give? It sounds like you probably have like a list of them.
Yeah, I would say okay. I mean, I have videos on this too, but I would say off the top of my head, lots of foreplay and lots of sexual tension. So start turning the girl on before you even start fucking her. Just build massive amounts of sexual tension. So the girl is like basically like wet by the time you touch her. Lots of foreplay, lots of teasing, right? So also like try to make the girl beg. So it's like literally like if you really want to turn the girl on, you shouldn't like actually be fucking her unless she like begs you multiple times for it. I would be like, yeah, you want me to fuck you now? She'd be like, yes, please. I'd be like, no, I don't think you've earned it. That wasn't loud enough. Say it again. So really like before even having sex, like just build up as much sexual tension as possible. Then I would say don't focus too much on just like fucking as fast as possible, but variability. So like slow and deep, and then sometimes speed it up. Once you find a position that works, like keep at it. Don't change things around. Most girls are into either like having the hair pulled or choking. So start off slow and discover which one of her fetishes are. Most women have like a sensitive spot either on their ear, their neck, or their collarbone. So you can find that. If you kiss that, they get like really horny. A lot of women's nipples are sensitive. So if you suck on that while you're fucking her, she'll get really turned on. You can use a Hitachi magic wand and put it on her clit while you fuck her. That will make her come really fast. Probably something like that.
Yeah, you're probably actually better positioned to like give tips because like I don't have a wide sample size of women. I have a wide sample size of men. If I were like coaching women on how to seduce men, I could like very easily. But I'm like I haven't had the massive sample size. Although I would have to say I used to use Hitachi for a long time, and I think the womanizer is better.
Yeah, my one of my buddies always talks about that one. Yeah, he says the same thing.
Yeah, Owen wins.
I got to get with the times. The Hitachi is too outdated.
I hate begging for sex though. I hate that.
What do you mean?
I would never do that.
Wait, really? If it's in like a very like flirty way?
No. It's like one of the again, I have a weird brain. I'm sure I believe that this works for most women, but like for me it'd be awful. Interesting.
What if you don't mind me asking, what are your weird fetishes?
Mostly just like rape stuff.
Okay.
Like if I have to act into it at all, it's not very fun. Unless it's novelty. Like I can do it for the first, 10 times or whatever. But like eventually I'm like,
That's yeah. I mean, that's not like as uncommon as most people think. I mean, that's like a good amount of girls. But how do you like communicate that beforehand? Because I'm sure you don't want to like actually get raped. So like there's always that like kind of catch-22 because it's like, if you tell the person that you want them to rape you, that's not like really rape, right? So there's
I mean, I'm poly, so like my partner kind of helps. So like I went on a date with like a guy in my networks, and one of my partners right now like hit him up and told him what I would be okay with or not okay with. And
okay. So you got like a third person like basically telling you, but then that person has to read you correctly because what if you're like not turned off by them and they like rape you anyway, right? So they have to have pretty good social skills, I would say.
Yeah, but I mean, like once you've like hit past like a certain point, like I feel like pretty good about being able to actually communicate that, like, you have safe words and stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. Yeah, that's like the like fun little personal fact. That's like an issue me and my girlfriend have because like if we're doing a rape fantasy, it's like if we're both like really into each other, it's not really rape. So it's like kind of like can't really do much. So then like
Well, I think the majority of rape fantasy usually is it starts out as non-consent, and then like the girl sort of like starts
right,
to
she gets into it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like
yeah.
those, yeah. Yeah.
But I think my thing, like, I don't know, this is like my own conspiracy theory about my own brain, but like I suspect I might be into it because I just like hate initiating. I hate it so much, which is not sexy. Like you guys want like the sexy girl that's like always hopping on your dick, but I am not that fantasy. I just want to sit there and have a guy just like slam his penis into me with no preparation. That's the thing I want.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen that before. Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
Fascinating. I guess where was I going to go next with this? Oh yeah. What are your thoughts on porn?
What are my thoughts on porn? Good.
I have a nuanced perspective on porn. I think that like my community typically really stigmatizes porn because they think it fucks with the male brain. I think to some extent it does, but I think in moderation it can be all right. I guess I don't know.
It probably depends on your brain, right? Like a lot of people talk shit on TikTok, like TikTok, like I get in the TikTok hole and scroll up. I don't have a problem with that for some reason. I don't know why. And I assume it's like kind of similar. Like probably you're the kind of guy where porn like affects your dopamine or it doesn't.
I do have like clients though. Well, this is like kind of concerning, but I do have clients who like literally say they can't get a boner, and they're like they literally say like this is a small percentage of my clients, but maybe like 5% who like literally just watch porn 4 times a day, and they can't stop watching porn, and they can't get a boner when they're with a girl, and it's just like they're like miserable because of that, but they can't get off the porn. It's like heroin.
Your clients, are you an escort? Do you fuck them straight?
Me? I'm not an escort.
Okay.
I'm a dating coach. Yeah, I don't fuck anyone. Did you
That
think
might work better.
Did you think I was an escort?
I was making like a joke.
Oh, okay. That'd be funny. No, I don't think you can really. Can you even be a male escort without like fucking dudes and old ladies?
You can. You're just not going to make much money.
But you've met like male escorts who like get to like have sex with attractive girls.
I wouldn't say they're attractive.
Okay, so
Not many of my clients are attractive. Doesn't matter. It's the job.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I would like that. I don't think that like I could like. There's a movie whatever like the male gigolo movie with Rob Schreiner or whatever Rob Reiner. No, Rob something. Anyway,
Magic
no, way before that. It was like this dude who was like a male gigolo. There was 2 movies made. It was like a comedy, but it was like funny because he had to like basically like socially navigate out fucking all these disgusting women and like use his like charm and charisma to like basically like deliver on the product, like make them feel good without actually having sex with them. And then eventually, of course, like every Hollywood movie, he meets a girl that he loves and who he winds up like not wanting to fuck for money, but fuck for free. Oh, Schneider. Yeah, there we go. Thanks, Chad. Okay, what was the next thing I wanted to cover? Actually, let's just go to Q&A from the chat. I had something else in my brain, but it kind of escaped me. All right, chat. What questions do you have for Aella? By the way, what do you debate people about on the internet typically? I saw.
Try not to debate.
Didn't you debate some like Christian person?
Did I? Maybe.
You were. I heard you on Destiny's stream talking about how she was like super tough or something.
Well, there was. I mean, I try not to debate. The last debate I was in, I didn't want it to be a debate. I was like, I told the podcast host, I was like, I'll join you talking to this person, but I don't want him to be a debate. And that it was a debate, and I regret that.
Okay, I kind of enjoyed
it. But you like this, right? Like the going grr online.
I mean, I'm like,
testosterone.
I'm like pretty chill though. I'm not that interesting of a debater because I'm really like I'm kind of nice and I'm chill. But if I really don't like someone, then I can like be really brutal. But that's like a very small percentage of people I debate. Like most of the people, that's why like my debates don't get that many views because I'm pretty like nice to everyone, respectful. No one wants to see that. But there's a very small percentage of people who I go hard on if they like really piss me off. But unfortunately, it's a very small percentage. I guess stop being so nice. Aella, how would you increase the ratio of rational, open-minded, libertarianish women to men?
Genetic engineering and embryo selection.
How would you can select for that in embryos? Isn't that mostly upbringing?
No, I'm really genetics pilled right now. I mean, maybe I've like overcorrected too far, but like right now, I feel like everything is just genetics, like 80%. I think it's genetics that women are not that rational, open-minded, or libertarianish compared to men.
But you were like not like that initially, but then you became that. So you feel like your genetics were always of like being like sexually open. You were just suppressed by your culture.
Well, he did not say sexually open. The words were rational, open-minded, and libertarianish. Those are very different.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's true. Open
I
mind.
think
So
I think that sexual open-mindedness is a lot more influential than like I was thinking like big five openness spectrum kind of thing.
I mean, I think intelligence is largely genetic, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and like obviously your looks and whatnot to some extent. But even nowadays, you can kind of like I would if it wasn't for like modern technology, I'd be like 100% bald instead of 50% bald, right?
Oh,
Because everyone in
nice.
my family's bald. But there's all these like fucking shit you can do.
Yeah, I got like a nose job. You think I was born looking like this? No, this is nose job, makeup, lots of spa experiences.
Right. Here's an interesting one. Ask her thoughts about legalizing sex work versus decriminalizing it, or if she wants it to remain illegal.
Decrim, obviously. I'm like government. So like decrim is obviously my favorite. Although if you legalize it, then the rates that escorts can charge will drop. Like the highest escort rates almost all over the world are in the US because it's so illegal. Um, and once you legalize it, it's no longer like a high risk, and then the supply increases, and then the prices drop. So I personally, like, if I were still escorting, I would be interested in having it be illegal. But like ethically, I think decrim is good.
Yeah, I'll probably agree with that. Okay, let's see what else do we have. I fuck ugly girls for free. Shit, I could be getting money. I guess so. I still feel like it would be really hard to become a male escort. I feel like you would have to be like really good looking for that, probably. I don't know. You'd have to be in with like the right circle.
Yeah, you'd probably end up fucking older women, most likely.
Yeah. Oh, this is an interesting one. Has Aella ever been too grossed out by a guy who paid for a service to have sex with him? I would guess the answer is
Nah,
yes. No?
nah. I
Really?
also like I'm kind of into gross shit. I'm like kind of into gross men a little bit.
Really? You like the
Yeah,
old creepy dude with like the belly and shit?
yeah. There's a little bit of like some like fucked up like ew that like kind of turns me on.
Black pill debunked.
Which is
Uh,
like I always have trouble telling a guy that because sometimes like a guy's like pretty gross and I'm like, oh man, this is so fucked up, and I'm into it, and like I can't tell him like this is so fucked up because you're kind of ugly. Like I cannot communicate to him that he's arousing me through
so,
that.
how ugly you are. I love how big your nose is and how much you smell like shit. You probably haven't showered in a week. You fucking dirty ass
Well, I
motherfucker.
mean, that part's not that gross to me. Okay.
What are your thoughts around sex work being something to strive for versus something that's a last resort?
Well, my thoughts are, I mean, it depends on the person. Like for some people, it should be something that you strive for. And for some people, probably the majority of women in today's culture, you probably shouldn't do sex work. But I think most women have already a pretty good intuitive sense about the costs around sex work because they hear the way that men talk about it. Because you are taking a hit. Like a lot of guys will not date a sex worker. So you're really reducing your mate pool. So it depends on whether or not you're prepared to do that.
Yeah, but I still feel like as a girl, you still have so much leverage in the dating marketplace that like you can still probably find a pretty good guy, even with like having like yeah, some guys will not date you, but there's still going to be like quite a few guys that will date you. I would say like the biggest probably thing is more of like the mental impact it can take. Like I think like a lot of women would not be mentally cut out for it.
Well, I think the mental impact is tied to the reduction in mate value. I think that's like a big part of why it is mentally difficult. Like it's not just this thing in isolation. Like there's so much like social meaning attached to the fact that you're having sex for money in a negative way. Like by doing it, you're like, I feel gross and disgusting. It's like the same sensation of like looking really ugly. Like my, worth, my dignity, my value as a woman, like the amount that men will love me. I think those are all very tied together.
Okay. Does she suggest with these role plays when false accusation is common? The guy with the Bugatti got 90 days, zero charges. How about regular folk? Well, I don't think he got 90 days for sex. I think it was for having a canned business that potentially or may not have been doing something illegal. We don't know. But yeah, I guess the question is, do you still like how would you navigate doing these like rape role plays with like the Me Too culture? I think that's the question.
Like it depends on the cultures you're in. I think like if you're in a high like in my culture, there's zero issue with that. I've never like run into any problems. But I think it's like probably tied to I don't know, like emotional maturity and success in life. Like if you have like a bunch of people who are pretty reasonable, you don't have to worry about it. because you just communicate clearly. You're like, there's a safe word, you fucking respect the safe word. If you don't respect the safe word, that's rape. But as soon as you say a safe word, everything's off. But like, you have to, make sure that you're able to say it. You don't gag the mouth. And if you do gag the mouth, you have like hand taps. You go through like a whole safety procedure.
When you say your community, you mean like the kink community, or what community are you talking about?
Well, any sort of community that's like good at communication or like prioritizes excellent communication and emotional
But
boundaries.
like, are you talking about like the fact that you're like in Europe? Are you talking about the fact that you work in sex work? Are you talking about that you're just kind of like into like the FetLife kink world? Like, which community are we talking about?
My community is the rationalist community, primarily.
What's the rationalist community?
It's like Less Wrong, Ellie Rudkowski, who was doing a bunch of interviews recently, so maybe you know him. Slate Star Codex. It's basically a bunch of nerds started writing a blog about how to think more good, and then people started having meetups to talk about those blogs.
Where do you guys have like a Facebook group, or how do you find this community?
You can go to lesswrong.com and astralcodex10.substack.com. If you just Google like the author is Scott Alexander, I would say those are the two primary websites right now.
Okay, interesting. Never heard of this community, but okay, guys. Which is one of the biggest things you learned about men through your experiences in Escort?
Maybe if it's like quite simple, like men want. I think I'm surprised at how men wanted to make me happy. I think I expected a higher percentage of men would be like, cool, I get a sexy hot body to use and I'm gonna like do all the fantasies I've always had. But really, I would say probably 80% are like quite concerned about my well-being, and like their pleasure is super tied to like reading me or attempting to read me and to like make sure that I'm having a good time, which is really nice.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't surprise me. Like, I think most people are like ethical, like decent people.
Yeah.
I think there's like a small percentage of like just like dipshit narcissists, but like that's like a small percentage. I think they're over like the dipshit narcissists are overrepresented online. So it's like you're looking at like YouTubers and TikTokers, it's maybe like 50% dipshits, but like amongst like regular people, it's a lot less than that.
Have you read the Escort subreddits on Reddit at all? No. So there's it's so fascinating. There's like a variety of Reddit subreddits for people who are into escorting. There's one for escorts. I think it's like escorts only. I'm sorry, you'll have to figure it out yourself because I don't remember the actual names. But there's one for escorts and there's one for clients, and they're so diametrically opposed. But the one for clients is like it's a total piece of shit. Like they're the worst of the worst. They're the hobbyists. They're the guys who don't give a shit. They're the Pokemon collectors, and it's only them. And like if you just read that forum, you're like, wow, these people seem horrible. But they're a minority. The ones that are allowed online are not good.
Yeah, the only like I've actually been banned off Reddit with like my whatever dating advice. I guess it's like too controversial for these Reddit nerds. But the one community that like I at one point explored because I found it so funny was like the hot wife subreddit. And because like back in the day when Craigslist casual encounters was around, like there was like a few situations where I would like basically bang a dude's wife while he would like, I don't know, like watch in the corner or whatever. Mm-hmm. So like, and then someone told me about that community. So I was like, all right, well maybe I can like use this to meet like hot chicks. Right. And so I never actually like followed through with anything on that community, but there was this like, it's like weirdly cult type of mind where there was this like the superheroes in these community. There was this one dude, the username made me like crack up. It was Hung in LA 88. I don't know why I remember this. And like these dudes were talking about this guy. He was like a superhero. It was like, last night, me and my wife were graced by the presence of Hung in LA 88. He did such a wonderful job on my wife that I just couldn't contain my massive impression for his professionalism, his insane sexual prowess. It was just like the funniest shit ever. I should do a video on this at some point. But yeah,
I feel kind of like affectionate towards that. There's like something about like weird niche sexual fetishes that makes my heart like swell with warmth.
That's interesting. I just it makes my heart swell with lulz probably typically. But what do you think about Swedish model when it comes to sex work?
Is that the Nordic model?
I guess, yeah.
The Nordic model's not great either. The Nordic model is basically like you criminalize the people who buy the sex, but not the people who sell the sex, which it subjects the whole system to very similar problems. Like you have guys who are more like one, it drives down the prices because you increase supply, which means that girls have to like lower their standards for safety. And then you have things like men are still very unlikely to like give you good screening information. They don't want to give you their real names because they're afraid of being arrested. So it's basically like men are like subject to greater pressures and like men are like less likely to do things that make you safe. And then you have to go to them.
Okay, interesting. Ask Aella if she still has organic dating relationships with guys.
Yeah. I mean, it depends what you mean by organic. Like I have a dating survey and that's mainly how I find men now if you fill out my survey. But yeah, I'm a polyamorous, so.
Right, I got to hear about this. You have so you have like a survey, and guys fill out the survey, and then you call them based on that.
Yeah, then I look at compatibility from the survey.
But how do you know they're not just lying to game the survey? Like they watch a bunch of your interviews and they figure out that you're into like all this shit. Like,
I'm very good at building surveys. I'm very good at building surveys so that people don't know how to answer correctly to be what I want.
Where does one find this survey?
It's on my website, knowingless.com. There's just in the personal section, there's a date me doc.
Okay. You're about to get like 100 new admissions after this podcast.
Yeah, that would be great.
You're gonna get a bunch coming. That's interesting. I've never even thought of that. Like having a dating survey.
You should try it. It's one of my favorite things, and I want everybody in the world to make a date me survey.
But the difference is there's not like 100 girls lining up to fuck me.
Is there not?
No, I'm not like that famous or popular or anything.
Are there like 10?
I mean, there's like I have to go out and manually meet women. Like I have to I have to initiate. Like I mean, I've had like there's been some girls that slid in my DMs who like watch my channel. I've had a few of those, but those are like few and far in between. My channel's like 99% men.
Well, I think the rules are slightly different. So one of my partners did a dating survey too, and he got I think he got like maybe 20, 30 submissions total over like the course of a while, but he dated a much higher percentage of them. Like a much higher percentage of them were actually what he was looking for. Because like with me, I got like 10,000 responses to my survey, and they're all like horny men who don't care about me as a person. Whereas if you're a girl and you're gonna fill out a guy's dating survey, you're more likely already going to be compatible because you're the kind of person to fill out someone's dating survey, you know?
But where did he advertise the survey?
I think he posted on like his social media, basically.
Did he have like some like clout, or was it just like a regular person?
He has like a little clout.
Okay.
This is I mean, he's fine with me talking about it. He runs like MIRI, the Machine Intelligence Research Institute. So he's like in the community. He's got like a little bit of visibility, but it's a very male-dominated community. So
okay,
win some, lose some.
Guys, get me to 1 million subs so I could have a dating survey, so I could stop having to like fucking put in effort to get laid. It's getting annoying. I have to like fucking go out and swipe on Tinder. I'm tired of this shit. I want girls coming to me. No, I don't want to. That's like I have twice in my whole life when I was much younger, and I don't know, like call it ego, call it like whatever. Well, there's two reasons I wouldn't want to. The first one is like I don't think I need the girl to be like really attracted to me for it to be like a sexually satisfying experience. Mm-hmm. And I'm really good at reading body language because of what I do, so I can tell if the girl's acting. So that wouldn't, even if she's the best actress ever, it wouldn't like sexually do the trick for me unless there's like genuine like desire there. That would be the first thing. The second thing is probably just ego. Like I would like consider myself like yeah, well, like I don't need to pay to get laid. Like I got some like swagger and shit. Yeah. Why would I do that? But I guess I could see if I was like a hardcore like tech guy or like a fucking hedge fund manager and I worked 90 hours a week and I had like no time. Yeah, if I was in that category, then maybe I would like think differently.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what else we got. Okay, ask her if she acknowledges gaming attraction or is it just looks.
What does that mean?
In terms of your attraction to a guy, is it purely aesthetic or this is like charisma, personality play a role?
Kind of question. So I think there's a distribution of the amount that women are interested in looks. Like for some women, you just like it's like the most important thing, and I think I'm on the opposite end of this distribution. Like the last two guys that I initiated some sort of sexual contact with were like a couple inches shorter than me. Like I dated an obese guy. Like I'm like my standards are quite low for what you have to look like for me to want to date you. So yeah, it's entirely game, I guess.
Black pill debunked once again. No, yeah, my community has become like infiltrated with these like dipshit black pillars who think that like looks are the only things that matter, and no matter like how much counter evidence you show them that like, hey, like obviously looks matter, but also like your charisma, your personality, your game matters. Like they just like refuse to believe it. So
well, it depends on the woman. Like for some women, this is true. For some women, it is looks that matter 100%, and for others, it isn't.
I don't think there's any woman for whom looks are 100% because I think that if a guy shows up who's really good looking, but he's like super fucking awkward and has no vibe and is like simpy and just weird, she's gonna lose attraction for him.
Yeah, I also don't understand like the degree to which people like, especially in like red pillar communities, that this is emphasized, because it is significantly more weighty for women. Like a man is much less likely to date an attractive woman than a woman is to date a less attractive man, because you can compensate for that with like money and status.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I don't really get that part either. Ask Ella if after being an escort, she still thinks most men cheat.
Well, it's not most. It's probably closer to 30 to 40% in long-term relationships.
That's actually not too bad.
Yeah, I mean, even the ones that don't cheat are still not very happy in their relationships long term. The monogamous men in long-term relationships are not doing too great. I did a survey.
Okay. Alex, you should react to Destinies for the debate y'all had, comment section on your next open pound stream. A lot of people seem to doubt your coach because he said you get 90% flick rate. Really interesting. Destinies comment section is usually pretty favorable towards me. Yeah, I mean, that's like just kind of the reality of the matter that no one likes to admit, that there's a lot of flaking that goes on. I don't know why people like to like LARP around and pretend like that's not the case. I am such a badass dating coach that I never get flaked on because my game is so tight. Like that doesn't happen. Playing Fire, what is the political lean of the rationalist community? I guess that's a question for you, Aella, because I don't know anything about this community.
I don't know. I think people, they say gray tribe, like you're like red or blue politically, but the rationalists are pretty gray. Like I actually have a hard time answering that question. Maybe very slightly left. It's mostly libertarian, I would say. It leans disproportionately in that direction.
Is that what you consider yourself, also libertarian?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say me too, for the most part.
Nice.
Internet bump. How can I get Aella to help me make a date me survey? That could be your course, making surveys, dating service.
Yeah, I don't have a thing set up right now, but if you want, you can book a call with me on my website. You just pay me some money, and then I'll just have a one-on-one call with you, and you can talk about anything you want. And if you're like, I want you to help me make a date me survey, I would be delighted to do that.
How much do you charge for like coaching or whatever?
I have $500 an hour or $500 for half hour and $800 for an hour.
Okay, you charge more than me. I got to up my rates a little bit.
Well, I don't do it much. It's just like not my favorite thing to do. I mean, like I like it. I don't mean, but it's just like I have other work to do, and so like if you're gonna pull me away from the other work I'm doing, then I'm I've done so many of these. It's gotten like really repetitive for me. I prefer doing like podcasts or making videos or like marketing or anything like that as opposed to one-on-one coaching. Yeah. I guess like really repetitive when you've done. How many coaching calls have you done at this point? I mean, well, so it's just calls. Like if they want me to ask, if they want to ask advice, then they can. A lot of them aren't just. It's just, I don't know, maybe not that many. I have like maybe 2 a month. I don't really advertise it or push it. It's like nested in my website. So.
Okay. What, if anything, would cause you want to move to New Hampshire as part of the Free State Project?
Do you know I do want to move to New Hampshire as part of the Free State Project. I just have other things in life to do.
What is this Free State Project?
There's like some libertarians who are trying to do some sort of like get libertarian paradise in a smaller area. Like if you have a concentration of people, then you can like get elected to local politics and stuff.
Oh, I see. But then there's still going to be like the Republican state governor that has like ultimate override power on local politics. And then there's the federal government that has override power on state. So I feel like you can. I mean, there's like, you can fucking, I think a better idea would be like doing this like in Africa where you can just like literally buy out a piece of land for $50, like Akon City or whatever, even though that's never getting built.
Yeah, but then you're like, it's like disproportionately harder in a lot of ways. It's a lot of trade-offs. Yeah,
for sure. Then you have to like live in Africa. So the downside is that, but I don't know. Yeah. I've been wanting to ask how much are you, okay. So this is kind of a troll question. The sex and dating industry is making lawyers seem cheap. Dude, lawyers are so expensive. I just had to deal with that. I fucking dropped 20,000 on like fucking 5 hours worth of work on a lawyer. The thing is, the lawyers, they'll say they charge like $300 an hour and they maybe do 2 hours worth of work, but they charge you $10,000. So it's like, it never makes sense. And then you fucking like nickel and dime you for everything. It's like, oh, I wrote an email. That's 5 hours worth of work. It's like, what the fuck? That must have been the best email ever. So lawyers may seem cheap, like when they say $400 an hour, but trust me, it's always like tens of fucking thousands of dollars. I hate dealing with lawyers.
I hope ChatGPT replaces them. I hope.
ChatGPT, yeah, it gets good enough, I guess. We're using ChatGPT right now to, well, the not ChatGPT, but the OpenAI platform that made ChatGPT to make a texting app, AI app. So basically, you'd be able to like tell what the girl texted you, and it would give you a good response back. But that technology still has like ways to go, I think, before it gets like really fucking solid. But yeah, in a few years, probably. I think it's just good enough right now to like help you text girls if it's trained really, really properly. I don't know if I would trust it with like elaborate legal theory just yet, but maybe in a few years. Even though I know you were just trolling, I just kind of went on a massive side tangent.
I wasn't kind of trolling. Hasn't ChatGPT passed the bar?
Has it?
I feel like I read that, and if it doesn't, it's going to next year. Like the tech is developing so fast.
Okay, interesting. I'll have to, I guess, look into that. Is this the earliest stream you've ever done? Is going to be new start time for streams? No, absolutely not. We're just Aella's in Europe, so for the time difference, I started early. But no, we are not going to do. I'm not cut out for these 3 p.m. streams. I'm a vampire. I should be sleeping around this time. I was having the coolest dream too today as I was flying and shit. GBT scored in the 90th percentile in the bar exam, I think. Interesting. Okay. I did not know that. My chat is confirming this. All right, Chad, do you have any other questions? Is there anything you want to talk about?
Well, I'm curious what you get canceled for. What dating opinions?
Oh, I mean, that was like a partial joke, partial not joke. But I mean, I don't know exactly which post got me banned. I think it was. So I was on the Reddit seduction community, and I was like I was receiving a lot of like attention there. Like I was one of like probably the top 10 or 20 posters. I was consistently getting like at the top of the thing because I was one of the few people who actually like knows what the fuck they're talking about instead of a bunch of like Reddit nerds. But I was also always getting like hate from some of the moderators and shit. And I think it was the post where I was talking about seeking. I was talking about how you could use seeking to meet a girl, not for sex, not for money. Sorry, just use it to like meet girls, like as a regular dating like type of app. And a lot of sugar babies got really pissed off at that, and I think they spam reported me. And after that, my account.
Sugar babies on that subreddit?
I think because it went to the top of that Reddit, they went it like one of them saw it and then it linked it in there.
Yeah, okay.
And they all gravitated towards there. And so after that, like the moderators completely ghosted on me. I could never get a response, and they just would like ban every time I would repost. So yeah, but by that point, my YouTube channel was like starting to take off, so I didn't really need Reddit. But yeah, I kind of had like a bone to pick with like the Reddit seduction community. One of these days, I'll get back to them. Ask Aella if size matters.
Yes, but probably less than most people think. Like, as long as you're not in the bottom 10%, you're probably adequate.
What is the bottom 10% of that? Like 3 inches or something?
I don't know how to like. I'm thinking about like my sample size, like of.
Show me where on the doll.
Like 90% of my clients were totally adequate, and like maybe 10% of them, I was like, I would have trouble having sex with this person a lot. Like it's like I don't. It feels like lackluster. And I would say probably another 10% were like unusually big to the degree I'm like, this is different.
Yeah, I know about that world. Yeah, it's just the curse that I've been dealing with ever since I was put on this planet.
They have a subreddit for that. Are such big dick problems?
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
They have a subreddit for everything, it seems like.
Yeah.
Damn. For Aella, what is the minimum amount a guy should be earning to be dating?
What kind of question is that? I don't understand the question.
It's yeah, you have to understand my community. It's like a kind of a red pill, black pill infiltrated type of pickup community. So a lot of guys think that like you need to be making a certain amount of money in order to be like successful in dating marketplace, which again, I think is nonsense because I was getting laid way more than I ever am now when I was broke. I was doing my best when I was literally like living like fucking in credit card debt. But yeah, so like there's like a lot of red pill podcasts that say you have to be making 6 figures to be successful or whatever. I guess that's what he's
I mean, like the higher money you make, probably the easier it is to get hotter women. But you can still bang less hot women if you're making no money. Or people who are of lower social class. Like if you're like in Iowa and you're making the same amount of money as all the girls around you, like.
Someone said money does matter. Aella wouldn't date. Have you ever dated a guy who doesn't make much money?
Yeah, I did. But recent in the last couple of years, I dated. Not sorry, like the partners that I had before my current partners that were like kind of homeless, and I supported them.
Kind of homeless. Damn, these guys are hacking your dating. How are they like passing your dating survey? Or
Well,
you just
that was before I had my dating survey. I mean, they're just very charming.
okay, like just very charming homeless people.
Yeah, and which was great, but like just since then, I'm like, okay, it was great, but I am tired of that, and I'm tired of supporting my men financially because I was earning a bunch of money, so.
Yo, girl, you got $1? Oh wait, shit, you're kind of hot. All right, yo. He does like a recalibration, like, yo, what's up? How you doing? How's your night going? What's up, baby girl? Yeah.
The homosexual. Yeah, they were homosexual. Homosexuals are so hot. I don't know what it is about them.
You're into gay dudes?
No, hobo.
Oh, hobosexual. Okay. Yeah, for sure. Can't make it unless he's really. You gotta make it there again unless he's really young, dating other young men will not get no women. Dude, I'm telling you, man, when I was making like, when I was 25, 26, I was not making any fucking money. I was like literally just racking up credit card debt. You know what I was doing for work? I was donating fucking semen until I got kicked out of the fucking donating semen program. That was like literally, and they pay you like $100. Okay, for that. Like, I mean, you could only do it once a week. So I really didn't have any fucking money when I say, like, I wasn't kidding when I say I was broke when I was 25, 26. And I was fucking hot chicks back then. Like, I would, I mean, I wasn't homeless. I had like, I had a shitty apartment, and I had like, like clothes and stuff like that, and like running water, and I could eat like cheap food. But I would go out and like pick up girls off the street or at bars and shit like that. I would maybe like spend like, very much budget my money, like sneak in alcohol into a bar and maybe buy like one beer the whole time I was there. So I'd spend like $10 a night. Alex, you were from an upper middle class household, college educated. Yeah, that's true. I could always fall back on my parents. Like if I ever, like my parents would never like, drop me. Like if I hit up my mom and I was like, hey, I really need money. Like I'm sure she would have given it to me, but I also kind of have like an ego. So I would never want to take money from my parents.
This is a bit besides the point, right? Like people are claiming that you need to be successful as a man in order to get women, and to a woman who's like interested in money, a guy who can ask his parents for money is still not hot.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Also, I don't think you can like. I mean, I guess I'm pretty articulate. So, but I think like even if I didn't go to college, I would have been pretty articulate. I kind of agree that intelligence is largely genetic, and I think I would have always been like pretty. Whether I went to college or didn't go to college, I would have probably also been like same level of articulateness, if I mean. If anything, doing YouTube has helped me more than like going to college. Would you recommend TRT, Alex? Yeah, if you have low testosterone, you're like on the older side, you're not interested in having kids, or if you're on the younger side and you've tried natural means, then sure, I would probably, use it as a last resort, not as like a first come, first serve, but yeah.
I was thinking about trying, I haven't done any research into this. I was thinking about trying like microdosing testosterone.
Yeah, it can definitely increase a woman's sex drive for sure. If you take some testosterone cream and rub it on your clit, you're gonna get like ultra horny for like a few hours.
Really? Does it do anything to your clit though?
I don't know. I've never like actually performed this experiment. I've just heard about it many times. But yeah, you'll get like super duper horny for like a few hours.
Fascinating.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to try it.
Yeah. Microdosing. Yeah, the only downside with that is you could potentially like start to develop more like hair and like a deeper voice. So you have to keep the dose like really, really low.
Yeah.
You don't want that. Next time you come on this podcast, you got a deeper voice than me. It's not going to be good.
Yeah.
What does Aella think of the loneliness epidemic among men?
To the degree that it exists, it seems pretty sad.
Yeah. What do you think are some solutions to it?
More alcohol. I'm like maybe not joking. Like to some degree, I suspect it's due to the fact that we're drinking less alcohol. Alcohol's obviously not good for you, but it also makes people bond and have more sex.
Yeah, I think also there's better alternatives to alcohol like kava that you can use to get very similar effects of alcohol without any of the downsides. That's why you guys see me sipping on it a lot. But apologies, someone already asked this, but if she's a researcher and academic student, does she get sex for work at the manosphere? I don't know what does she get shit for sex work or the manosphere? Okay, but you're not a researcher in an academic institution, right?
No, I've never been affiliated with anything in academia, but I still get shit, and maybe it makes me get more shit for doing the research. And mostly what happens is that people are like, "Oh, your research is not good. You're a sex worker. Like you haven't gone to the affiliate. You're not credentialed. Your research must be bad." That's the most common criticism I get.
I would honestly be more likely to trust your research than I would like someone who's affiliated with an institution, because I feel like there's so much mental circle jerking and so many like parameters that they have that they really can never do like the interesting experiments. At least not in like American institutions. I don't know. Maybe European ones it's like totally different, but like in American like college institutions, like you got to lobby for grants and everything has to be like PC. Like you can't be asking, like if you're affiliated with like Harvard, you can't be asking like, so tell me about your rape fantasies. Like, come on.
Right. Yeah. The academic researchers I've talked to who are working anywhere in the fields of sex basically say it's impossible to get the interesting research done. They can't get it approved. And also, if you actually do interesting research in academia, a lot of the norms around publishing are bad. Like I'm very careful to publish my data sets, for example, so you can check all my work. And it's very easy to access. But this is not very common in academic stuff. And it seems to be, to me, like a no-brainer for doing good work. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. So I was just purely like speculating when I said all that, but you're saying like what I'm saying is actually like 100% true.
You should interview. Well, actually, I should probably double check with them before I say their names. I can message you some people you should interview who are academic sex researchers and have told me about how terrible it is.
Sure. Yeah, I'd be down. By the way, how did you get on the Lex Friedman podcast? That is a big ass score.
We have some mutual friends.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is he a cool dude in person?
Yeah, he's basically exactly the same in person as he is on the podcast. He's very sweet.
Yeah. I know he's Russian. That's like the one thing him and I have in common. Does he speak Russian? Do you know that or no?
I have not heard him. I didn't ask.
Okay.
I assume.
If Aella was a guy, how would he go about dating world as a man? Interesting question.
I'd probably get famous for something.
Easier said than done.
Yeah, I'm speaking from a position of privilege because I'm a lady who gets named.
Yeah, check your privilege, okay?
Yeah. But I don't know. I feel like I would just focus really, really hard on like excelling at some sort of task that is, just going to be kind of visible. Because like women cream themselves over a guy who's like has some visibility.
Yeah, that's true. For sure. I will say that like the girls I banged who like followed my YouTube channel were like the easiest that's ever been for me. So yeah, although I did spend like fucking 4 years building this channel, dedicate my whole life to it.
Yeah, but it's like building a business, right? It's like putting a lot of stuff that eventually results in passive income. I think this is the same thing. Like if I were to, you build like some sort of visibility business that results in passive pussy income later on.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I think there's definitely business the benefits. I would also learn like game though. I would like you don't want to be like the fucking awkward rich dude who just gets swindled by like every hot sugar baby. Like you should have pretty at least decent level of social skills that will like help you with your business and stuff like that too, because you can use it for networking. That's good. Like it's good to know how to like how social things work and how to network. Like I've gotten a lot through networking. So and yeah, like you don't want to be like ultra rich, but then like super socially awkward, and then you just get like fucking swindled by some 20-year-old who has better social skills than you.
Well, it feels like you just have to be perceptive. You can be awkward and also perceptive.
I guess, yeah. That would be like I guess like Elon Musk or something like that. He's probably
he probably knows what's up at this point.
Yeah, his 4th or 5th marriage. Okay, what else do we have? What actress does she look like? Driving me crazy.
Liv Tyler.
Okay. I've heard that name, but I don't know what she looks like.
It's Arwen from Lord of the Rings. Everybody says I look like Arwen from Lord of the Rings. So
oh, yeah. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you just need like the elf ears and shit. Yeah, you kind of do. Holy shit, that's true. Kind of like the Lord of the Rings, Liv Tyler.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
Damn, okay. I just realized that. She kind of reminds me of Donna from that 70s show. If you dyed your hair red, maybe. Yeah. You're not that tall, though, are you? Are you like 5'11" or something? You're probably like 5'5", 5'6".
I'm 5'8".
Oh, okay. So you're on the taller side.
A little bit.
Yeah, so you could be Donna from that 70s show.
I haven't watched the show, so I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Good times. Okay. Any other good questions, guys? We'll do probably another 5 more minutes. This is it. There it is. How familiar are you with my community at all?
Not at all.
Yeah, it's an interesting world. That's why, like, it's just funny to watch, like, we would call you like a normie or whatever, or like somewhat of a normie, like someone who's like not familiar with this community. It's always like interesting to me to watch like reactions of like someone who's not familiar with this community to like community questions, like how much do looks matter versus game matters. Because when you ask like the average person these questions, they look at you like you're retarded. They're like, of course, fucking game matters. But like in this community, that's actually like considered like a legitimate question. But once you go outside the community, it's like a laughable question. It's like, oh, can you fly? No, of course you can't fly, dipshit. Okay.
But is this is it your community specifically, or are you talking about like red pill overlapping stuff?
I'm talking about red pill overlapping. Yeah, my community is definitely better as far as these communities go. But yeah, I overlap with the pickup community, the red pill community, and the black pill community because I make like all kinds of content because I don't really identify with any community. I like kind of borrow beliefs that I think I agree with. So there's black pillars, there's red pillars, there's pickup artists, that's basically like the combination of my community. Some blue pillars. And so
I used to be really into those like several years ago. Like I read the r/seduction subreddit a whole lot and was in their IRC and
yeah, the advice on the r/seduction community is like atrocious.
The what of the
advice on the r/seduction community on average is atrocious. It's a bunch of dudes who don't get laid, who read stuff on the internet telling other dudes on the internet how to get laid.
Well, for me it was different because like I got into this when I was early 20s and I went on a date with a guy and I ended up sleeping with him. And this was like really when I first started sleeping with people. So this was new to me. And I ended up like in his bed. And then like the next morning I was like, how did you get me to sleep with you? And he gave me a book and it was a pickup artistry book. And then I became obsessed with pickup artistry. I read like all the terms like escalate, keno, and all this shit.
What book was it?
I don't remember. Because he torrented it and printed it out on paper. So it didn't have a cover. So I don't know what it was called.
Oh, he's too cheap to pay for a pickup book. He's like, fuck, I paid $50.
Oh yeah, dude, he was like cooking kratom in his yard, on his counter. He would have to like wake up every 2 hours because this is how his business was.
Wait, it sounds like me.
Have air conditioning, like it was so grody.
This sounds like me when I was 26. That's exactly what I would do. Be fucking cooking kratom and like not having feet. Yeah, that's literally me 7 years ago before I could afford to buy kratom on the internet. Has anyone paid for Aella's escort services but ended up just wanting her company? I'm sure that happens.
Like, and not having sex? I think I've not had sex like maybe twice with clients. For some people, sex is like definitely kind of secondary, but it's very unusual for sex to not happen. Was
it this one? Banged by Roosh V. Does that ring a bell?
When did that come out? Because this was in like 2000. This is probably 11 years ago.
Yeah, I think those books were out.
Okay, I don't know. You're gonna tell me names. I don't know the names.
I mean, the only pickup book I ever read was called The Game by Neil Strauss. That's like the most famous one.
It might have been that one.
Yeah, the issue I see with Fresh and Fit, whatever podcast, they bring in girls. They're traditionally the same. Alex and his team find different points of view. Thank you. Yeah, for sure. I think the internet becomes very insulated, and you just like circle jerk each other and just hear what you want to hear.
I've heard people say the same before. Fresh and Fit. What is it?
Oh, you've never heard of them?
I mean, I've heard of them, but I don't know anything else.
You're not missing out much. There's basically this, there's this really awkward dude named Fresh who has a massive stutter problem, and he pretends like he has sex with 3 girls a day. And then there's this like really bitter butthurt dude named Myron, who's actually fairly articulate and intelligent, but he's also like stuck in his own mind and like super bitter and butthurt of women and looks for little reasons to have like little bitch fits and kick them out of his house. And then he acts like he put them in his place. And then his chat just circle jerks him and donates massive amounts of money to him because they're also a bunch of bitter incels who just really like to watch revenge porn. So yeah, that's basically kind of the premise of the podcast.
Wow.
No, I mean they've accomplished
visceral description.
They've accomplished a lot in terms of like their like reach, into the community. And there's some shit they say that I agree with, but yeah, like there's also a lot of shit they're way off about. I used to the dude Myron, who's like the smarter of the two duo. He used to be like actually a big Playing with Fire fan, and I met up with him a few times before he started Fresh and Fit. And he's actually the one thing I will give him credit for is he's exactly the way he is on the podcast. He's exactly like that in real life. Like he kind of looks like a fucking butthurt virgin on the podcast, and he's kind of like that in real life. He's not a virgin, actually. He's probably like bangs a good amount of girls because of his like looks, but he also gets super butthurt really easily. And that's the reason I stopped going out with him, is because he would just get really butthurt whenever like a girl would give any sign of like non-compliance. Like whenever the girl would like tease or like kind of, give you a little bit of shit, he would just kind of like self-eject. And I was like, all right, dude, like this is just kind of lame. Okay, I think we just got through everything. I don't see any other questions. All right, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Aella, anything you want to plug? Where can guys find you? Where can guys fill out your survey?
I mean, most of this shit is on my website, knowingless.com. There's a bunch of links to all of my stuff. If you want to like look at me naked, there's a not safe for work zone. There's date me survey. If you want to buy my eggs to reproduce, like it's just a bunch of take some surveys. Yeah.
Oh, you sell eggs?
Yeah.
Oh shit, that's interesting. People pay you for that?
Well, they haven't yet. I've been in talks, right? There's some talks we might, because I have to go. It's like a very intensive process.
Right. But I'm assuming you haven't you don't keep them like in your fridge or something like that. I'm assuming you haven't like
No. This is the whole donation process. You have to go through the injection cycle, do the retrieval. It's really annoying.
Okay, gotcha. All right, guys. So if you want to get in some Aella babies, you know where to go.
Yeah. And knowingless.com.
Knowingless.com. Well, thank you for coming on. You're a lot of fun. Let's do this again at some point.
Yeah, thanks so much. This is lovely.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys. I'll see y'all later. Have a good day. Peace.